Hello, hello in UK Health Radio Land. I'm Liz Larson and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. So today we're talking about something that's near and dear to our heart, and I don't know that we've ever said it quite this directly. But we're talking about how to really take control of your life, how to be the one that decides what happens next, right? How to actually be able to discern and choose what happens in relationships and money and your health, all of that. And it has everything to do with the nervous system. And this is something we say that the person who has control of their nervous system or knows how to change it in a moment, knows how to recognize what's going on with it, knows how to choose then what they'd rather have happen, that human is the human that has the best chance of living their best life or being who they really want to be and intend to be. It's a big statement, don't you think, Bill?
I think it's huge, and nobody really knows this. Everybody says, you got to change your mind. You got to change your mind to have a better thought. You got to control your thoughts. Well, the thing that we know is that it's really your nervous system. Your nervous system is responsible for the automatic responses that we have. It's a feeling, whatever feeling of that could be, everything from joy, happiness, contentment. That's an actual feeling, as well as all of the unwanted feelings like anger, being afraid, being resentful. It's a feeling. It doesn't seem like resentment is a feeling, but if you pay close attention, it is. There's a feeling that goes along with the thought. If you scan your body the entire way, there's an actual feeling. So Liz's point is actually really brilliant. And it's brilliant because when you understand that, that's the thing. You get a feeling and then you think a thought equal to it. Now, if you control the mechanism that actually creates it, have it run better, have it run more efficiently, the feeling could go away. Or you could create a different feeling. And with that, new thoughts.
Well, let me break it down even just a little bit further than that. What we're really talking about is your reactions. It's how you react to everything that's happening internally in your body. So Bill used the word feeling or sensation. So that feeling comes with an automated reaction. It's how you react. Like if I have a feeling that my feelings are hurt, my brain tells me something that means, and then also an action to do around it. So it's that action reaction of your internal dialogue plus your action reaction to external stimulus, things that happen outside of yourself, things you see, taste, touch, feel. All of those have an instant reaction in our bodies. And then those instant reactions all add up to what our life looks like. So you kind of know those people who are just generally chill. Their reaction to life is, okay, what do you want me to do about it? My dad was kind of like that. And then you know the opposite. You know that person who everything lights them up. It just makes them hot and furious, and that's their reaction. So those two people, you know darn good and well, are going to have different kinds of relationships, right? They're probably going to have different relationships to money. Their houses are going to look differently. That internal, instant, uncontrollable, in quotation, reaction is what equals your life, right? You ever known someone, Bill, who is like insanely jealous? You ever known anyone like that?
Everybody's had one of those in their lives, and it really wreaks absolute havoc, especially when there's when these really jealous types are amazing because you they misinterpret reality. You know,
Yeah.
I remember the great story. I had a family member who had horrible eyesight, literally thick glasses, and I mean thick. They cannot see. And and all their life this has been the case. But a girlfriend was out to dinner, and the poor guy, literally, he can barely see the menu and he can't see much beyond his table. So he's kind of just drifting off, you know. And the other, the date that he had, just went crazy. You're looking at this girl, blah blah. You want her? You can have her. You know what? He goes, what girl? Where? What? Who? What? You know, it's I see this play out, and it damages. But the person, literally, that feeling is so incredibly strong inside of them that they literally, it's not like they're choosing it. It's a nervous system reaction.
Yeah, and it's so compelling in the body. It's automatic, like so instant, they don't even know it's coming. And it overwhelms, it takes over their body. It's like a monster. That one is particularly bad. I had a person who was close to me in my life who their jealousy literally would destroy every relationship in their life. And early on, my husband and I, we were dating. This woman was invited, and she had a boyfriend with her. And we invited another couple, a girlfriend of mine from work and her boyfriend. Well, my girlfriend from work was very pretty, very unique looking, real cute. And the woman that we had invited, the one that had the jealousy issue, all night you could see her seething. She was absolutely seething and doing everything she could to get the attention on herself. And then when she went home, she attacked her boyfriend so viciously, verbally, maybe physically, that he wanted that other woman. He hadn't even really noticed her because she's there with some other guy. Like, to him, it's just people who are part of the group. Of course, that relationship ended very, very soon. But in talking to her about it later, she said, I can't help it. It's like something takes over my body. And in that, you don't get to choose your life unless you know exactly what that pattern is. You feel it coming and you're like, oh no, I see you. And that is the life-altering impact that our work has, that Cognomovement has, because it gives you that awareness of what's happening in your system and the interrupt of that pattern within. So in that case, you're looking at an external stimulus and then an internal dialogue. And if that woman had known how to stop it, either externally or internally, either way, her life would have been completely different. She never did end up finding a good relationship. She died never having married again and never finding a permanent relationship because this monster that lived inside her body took over. So that really would have been life-altering for her.
It really is. And the thing about the feeling that she had is that it was authentic. To her, there's every reason in the world she might not have liked it, but it was the truth. When we feel something very strongly, we think that it's the absolute truth. And the thing is that because there's been no option to talk yourself out of it. People, I'm sure, repeatedly have said, hey, baby, 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 that's not, no, you misunderstood, I didn't misunderstand nothing. They really, when you're in it, and we're using the jealousy example. You know, other people have jealousy from a different angle, like, somebody else's success, somebody else's fame, somebody else's possession. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be being afraid, being just afraid. Can you imagine? There was somebody we had worked with that was a virtual shut-in, a shut-in. They ended up so nervous and so worried, all their relationships shut down, and they just couldn't even go to the grocery store. They just became so worried and frightful of everything. But that you can even everybody I think can relate to this, because that feeling of being so afraid, we've all been there. And if you notice, it was a feeling in your body, and then you thought the thought, and it's real.
Yeah, the thing is, that really strikes me about all of this, and just thinking about that person that had the jealousy issue, it's pervasive in your whole life. You really can't have peak performance, peak experiences, joy, love, thriving when you've got one of these kind of big patterns going. And it's a good point that the person who's got worries and anxieties so much that they can't leave their house, or that they're so worried about money, it really starts to bleed into your entire life. In this person's experience, it led to drinking. They could not control the experience. They'd have these fights with everyone in their life, and then they would drink because they felt so bad around it. And it reminded me of like almost a migraine cycle. Anybody who's ever had a migraine knows this cycle, where there's something that happens just before it. You kind of have this niggling feeling it's going to happen. And even if you can stop the pain of it, like take medication, there's still this cycle of nausea, maybe visual disturbances, a feeling of sandpaper. And then eventually it fades, and then you're back to normal again. But you kind of know the cycle. It's going to last about X amount of hours, whatever your pattern is. But these, what feel like emotional experiences, but really are the entire nervous system, your brain, every cell in your body, all the way up to your skin, around your skin, to the ends of your hair. It's this whole body experience. They have this wave as well. It's going to last so many hours. And if you're a part of that person's life, you get to know their pattern too. Like, stay that out of their way for the next 36 hours, whatever it is. So it's very, very obviously a pattern. But so often that pattern destroys a life, or maybe not. This is an extreme example of destroying a life, but it just makes everything a little bit worse, a little bit soured, like sour milk. Like, let's not invite that person because they're going to throw a fit, and that's not going to be any fun. Or let's not include that person in the next business idea because they just can't handle themselves, right? It prevents you from having a peak experience really anywhere in your life.
You use the word peak experience or peak performance. And so many of us think about peak performance as being in the ultimate shape, right? You can wail away on push-ups or sit-ups or, you name it. But peak performance as a life is really all encompassing. We're talking about the quality of your relationships with your family, the quality of relationship with your friends. How much time do you spend belly laughing? How much time do you actually feel really, really good? Not just like, oh, I'm getting by, it's okay, that sort of thing. I'm talking about life is good. Your shoulders are back, your spine is erect, and you're like, I'm taking on life. You are able to take in information and the joy of life. Your thoughts are very quick. Your responses are well thought out. Your reactions are ones of optimism joy, seeing opportunity where other people don't. And with that, everybody's met somebody like that. They're running a peak performance life. You meet these people often in certain circles. They will find their way into public view. Not that they want it, but they just end up there. Why? Because just being around their energy is uplifting. You've seen those interviews. That's them. That can be you.
All right, it's time for us to take our first break and hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. But when we come back, let's talk a little bit more about that, how a person can have the total wellness if they know how to be in control over this one area of their physiology. So for now, let's hear from the good folks at UK Health Radio. So we're talking about this one area of a human system called the nervous system. Starts, in the brain with the limbic system. It's one of the first things that forms in a body. And that if a person knew how to control it or adjust it, even how to fine tune its reactions and actions, that they could live their best life. So we're talking about ultimate wellness, peak performance. And I want to tell a story of someone in our ranks, one of our Cognomovement practitioners. Because wellness is more than just like your health. It's how you're living your life, relationships, physical stuff for sure, right? The work that you choose, are you doing something that you love? Do you actually have joy in your life? It's actually even relationship with pets. So one of our practitioners, Katie Wrigley, when she came to us, when we first met her, I would never have dreamed she'd be who she is today, ever. She hated her work. She was slotted for multiple surgeries. She shared this publicly. Katie Wrigley, the pain changer, you can look her up. She was in some really bad relationships with friends, even family. She hated her work. She was in corporate work. And she actually was wearing a shirt the first time we met her that she said her body was like an ancient temple, haunted and crumbling or something. Anyway, she started using Cognomovement, came to classes and became a practitioner. And her life began to shift. One of the most amazing things is she had this ongoing issue with a dog in her life that she used Cognomovement for. She changed her inner reaction to the dog. She used the system to change her body's reactions to some injuries that she had. Think about that. Your body reacts to injuries a certain way. You get infections or you don't get infections. You have pain or you don't have pain. You have inflammation or you don't have inflammation. So she addressed how her body was reacting to skydiving accidents like you had, Bill, right? She used it to change her reactions at work and ended up leaving corporate and becoming a Cognomovement practitioner. Now she works with the police force in Maine and loves it. We get emails from her every day. She loves her life. She's radically changed family relationships. So the reason I bring this up is it's really about total wellness. It's not about changing one aspect of your life. You can begin to change one, but if you know that every action that your body does and every reaction you have to it is manageable by you, then you really do have a total wellness.
Absolutely. She overwrote those old programs. She rewired herself and she permanently altered her physical responses to external stimuli. And with this, she's now living a completely different life. The reactions are gone, and it makes room for this peak performance life, an entire life. Now, this all is really interesting, but I know if I was listening, I would be like, yeah, but how? How does this work? Well, it all starts with your eyeballs. It turns out your eyeballs, your brain, and your spinal cord are one neurological system. And cognomovement utilizes your eyeballs. Why? It's the closest physical thing to your brain, and it's one with it. With the movements, positions, the peripheral vision, the focused vision, the connection to where things are within your visual field, and knowing the areas that things are not working well, and then getting movement in those areas because they're one with the brain, you're stimulating your brain in ways that had never been stimulated before.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is true. That is one of the ways in to the system that Cognomovement uses. We actually have many, many ways in, and we'll share a little bit more about that. But, you know, it's that reason that making lasting changes in your mental or physical bodies have been so hard. This is one of the complaints that we hear, that people say, you know, I've been at this for years. I've tried everything, and my body just slips back into its old patterns. Like for a couple minutes, you're like, woohoo, look what I can do. I feel so good. You know, you've read a new book or you've taken a new class, but eventually you fight back into your old patterns. And it's this reason that most systems use individual pieces. They do try to access the logical mind and change the logical mind. Or they go in and they try to change the body. Or they're trying to change the emotional system. And I think the thing that's been left out of all medicine is it's a whole ecosystem, as we kind of just presented. The way you interact and react with yourself and with the way the world around you sets up what your life looks like. So you can't just take the mind and change it. It doesn't work because the body won't change with it. And you can't just change the body. Sometimes that works, but then the emotional part is left out. And if we understand the ecosystem, how to enter it, and how to make adjustments for the whole thing, then as one of those patterns changes, it actually accesses a lot of the other patterns. It's like it grows from the inside out. So this is the first thing we have to understand. All of our thoughts, our movements, our actions, and our feelings, they're governed by this one part of the body, the nervous system. But that one part of the body literally has control over everything else. So you've got to know what it is. You've got to know where it is. And you have to know how to push the reset button on it. I told this story at our last practitioner training. We're trying to explain how experiences in your life shape this part of your body. And I was talking about here in Oregon, it's kind of a, backwoods place. And they had these truck pulls, and guys would beef up their truck and they would hook it up to what's called a sled. And the sled would have weight on it, and the weight would be moved further and further up the ramp. It's like a tractor trailer, until it was so heavy that it would stop the truck. Well, this is what our life is like. From the minute we're conceived, this nervous system starts taking in experiences and deciding what to do with them. And they get heavier and heavier and heavier because there's more and more and more of those experiences, till we find a place in our life where we're really stuck. Now, in a truck pull, you disconnect the sled and the truck drives off. But in life, we feel obligated to carry every one of our experiences, the good, bad, and the ugly, and what they mean, according to this nervous system, with us. I think what what Cognomovement does, because you have the ability to rewrite those codes, is literally unhooking that sled from your truck. And then your truck has its full power, and it's able to run around and do whatever it wants, live the rest of its life free from all those attachments. And like with Katie, yes, she'd had a skydiving accident. Yes, she'd had some big traumas in her life. Yes, she'd even had some drug use in her life. Yes, she was very successful at her job, but she hated it. So that was her sled. And then piece by piece, she accessed those automated responses around those and disconnected her truck. And now she's moving around the planet much more freely. So I know that's a weird analogy, but I think it's really fitting. What do you think?
I think that it's super fitting. And I think that for all of us out there, one of the things when you hear this, you might be thinking, you know what? I've tried. And not only have I tried for myself, I've tried to help others. How many of us out there have tried to talk a family member out of something? You name it.
It rarely works.
It's like, that person's no good for them, and you're like, hey, psh, come here, hey, I'm telling you, don't break up with them. This is going to ruin your life. I'm telling you, I'm your brother, and I know I don't have any fishing, or whatever they call that, dog in this hunt. You can do what you want, but you try to talk to them in logic and everything with them, and they still go and do it. Whether it is a relationship, whether it's a behavior. I had a person I knew, and they would make profane comments at work, inappropriate stuff. And I said to him, hey, come here. No. Do not say these 10 things. Just erase. Don't do it. And no, could not, because it was a reaction within their nervous system. And so my point is that we have tried to talk to ourselves. You don't eat those French fries. Don't say that, you name it, whatever it might be. We've tried to talk to ourselves, and it doesn't work. And it's because it's not a fair battle. Your nervous system creates a feeling, and that feeling just keeps going, and we can't help it. We think a thought equal to the feeling we have. Think about your day. So when that nervous system no longer actually feels that way, I like to say it like this. The times that you went on your vacation to your perfect place. Everybody's got one. There's somewhere in the world that was the happy spot. For some people, it was Disneyland. Even as grown adults, it is Disneyland. But everybody's got their own version of that, where everything is happy and perfect. Well, guess what? It's not a place. Paradise is not a place. It is an actual state of mind, which means it is a feeling. And if you go back to your paradise for you, that perfect place, remember what your body felt like when you were physically there. There was a feeling. We're not making this up here. It is the truth, and you validate it in your life. Imagine if your life was, you were able to access that feeling, that paradise feeling. Guess what? Everything outside of you will start changing.
Well, yeah, people will notice if they go on vacation and all of a sudden they make money while they're gone, or some relationship changes because they feel better. I think the issue here is really, Bill, that people believe their feelings. People believe that their feelings are real because they feel them, and then their brain decides what to do about them. And now you have these actions and reactions. And then later on, they'll be like, oh my God, I just realized what I thought about that was actually not true. And now I feel completely different about it. So the feeling part, Bill had started to talk about it a little bit. The feeling part is the other end of the equation. It's the other end of the nervous system. So for that reason, you need a physical stimulus. That's why Cognomovement is a physical exercise. There's the eyes and the brain and a physical movement that allows the body to start to access the feeling state. We use a lot of things. If we're in a private session with a practitioner, they may actually use pressure on a fingertip or a toe. They'll provide feedback to that nervous system. You must have the other end of the equation, the signal from the brain, and then the feeling. And each of those have to provide feedback to themselves to create change, to recognize themselves, to recognize the pattern. So let's just talk a little bit more about the feeling state after this next break. So for now, let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. So we're talking about that a person who has a real control of the thing called their nervous system, their automated responses and reactions, has the best shot at living their best life. And we're talking about that feeling state. Why do we need to first be able to fully recognize the feeling, physical and emotional, to be able to make change?
Now, this is really important. Most of us will go through our lives just accepting that this feeling is true, number one, and there is no possibility. So if we can recognize it, the first thing is absolutely just noticing, hey, you know what? Actually, my body feels this way, and I'm having these thoughts. The beautiful thing about that is that that becomes the catalyst for change. Why do I say this? It's because the nervous system is very, very specifically what I call lit up. I feel shame. I feel jealousy. I feel anger. I feel worry. I'm worried. Okay, there is a very specific circuit through your system, in your body. You can feel it. Everybody can relate to this. And that circuit not only is in your body, but it goes to a particular part of your brain. And the interesting thing is that once you recognize that, the techniques to utilize it, to use that for change. What do I mean by that? Well, again, there are so many different techniques, hundreds of techniques with Cognomovement, but for example, your eyes will actually illustrate it. If you're in that state of worry, if you moved your eyes around, you're going to find a place those eyes don't want to be. It'll feel like pulling, or literally you'll find a spot that's blind. I can't actually even see here. Can you imagine that? A blind spot. The blind spots of our lives are reflected in the physical. It's kind of amazing.
It also means that you don't have access to that part of your brain. I mean, that's the physical exercise that we use. That's one of the first things that it does, is it lets you have access to both hemispheres of your brain, all of your brain. You see so many people whose eyes literally won't move to one side or the other. Like they'll be talking and they just access all their information, moving their eyes to the right. So what most people don't know is you can actually see how and where a person accesses information in their brain by where their eyes move. So if you're having a conversation with somebody who's literally will only look to the right, they're accessing all of their information in their linear brain, and they may not have any access to that right side for compassion and for, maybe more creative ideas, right? So that's the first thing that our system does. Just gives people access to both hemispheres of their brain, which then gives them access to more and more diverse neural patterns. This is the issue. 95% of the neural patterns we use every day are the same ones we used yesterday. The body loves its automated responses. But if you want a different life, you can't have that 95% running the show. You need access to fresh, new patterns, or patterns that have always been there, that are positive, that you just didn't have access to. So that's one of the things why cognitive movement uses a physical cross-body action to be able to access both hemispheres of our brain. This is that thing that I think makes this the future of real wellness. Because if people don't even realize, oh my gosh, I'm only using a small part of my brain, or oh my gosh, I have got these patterns that are just running my life that I don't even want, and I can literally change them. Or if they recognize, my knee's been hurting for 30 years, there's nothing wrong with it anymore. Oh, I can actually shut that pattern off. If you can overwrite previously held limiting beliefs, if you can rewire negative emotional reactions, if you can permanently alter them, you can permanently alter the trajectory of your life in a super, super positive way. Like, imagine the possibilities of that. We don't even have to imagine it, you and I, Bill. We see it every day.
We certainly do. And the thing about the knee, it's really not about the knee. What cognitive does is it allows somebody to let go of their stress. It's actually the stress that goes away. And with the stress going away, you may find that you just feel more relaxed. If you notice when you're stressed out, just kind of imagine you were holding a weight like this forever, your biceps are going to hurt and they're stressed. If you relax, what happens is so many things go back into harmony within your body.
Speaking of harmony, we only have a few minutes left, but there's something I want to get into. Is how does altering your automated response in your nervous system, your instant reaction, or unhooking, some of your past from your current reactions, how does it change your consciousness? Because it radically does change your consciousness, your awareness to manifest, your awareness to even see yourself as someone new.
This is such an interesting topic. It's one of my favorites because what consciousness, the actual definition, is awareness. It's another word. Conscious is how aware am I? So it starts off with your physical awareness, right? They talk about, oh, that person's unconscious. Literally, they got knocked out or drunk or they're on drugs or whatever. They're unconscious. Well, in the using this word another way is consciousness as far as my understandings. I understand that I am very justified in my fear. This is a level of awareness or consciousness. There's another level of awareness or consciousness that everything ultimately works out for me. And this is what we call another higher level of consciousness. There's the things around my life that I hold. One person had called them their treasures, their resentments. Well, this is a certain level of consciousness, being angry and resentful. Now, the interesting thing about cognomovement is if that sensation is gone, of anger and resentment out of your body, you literally don't feel anything. So literally, it's nothing to forgive somebody you feel nothing about, or to let it go.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that back to what we were just saying about where the eyes can look and what Bill's talking about awareness, you literally cannot see another option. You cannot see another solution if your eyes can't move to the position and the part of the brain that has the ability to understand that, right? So if you're in resentment, like you're talking about, Bill, and I resent this person, resent the hell out of them because of all the things they've done, you literally can't have the awareness. You can't see it until another part of your system, maybe another eye position, changes the way you feel about that. The body stops sending only that signal of resentment. And now all of a sudden you're like, geez, actually that person has helped me a lot. And I notice that everyone around them really likes them. They're not resentful. Now that is awareness. Now you can literally see and feel a new awareness. That is a bump in consciousness, but it happens physically. And then the spirituality part seems to come online. And boy, does it ever. But it sounds a little esoteric, but actually it's a physical change in the body. So we just have about 2 minutes left. And I want to encourage anyone who has not come to the Cognomovement site and taken a look at what we're talking about. Where you start is called Cognomovement Essentials. And it's not like a course. What it is just directions. It directs you to your own body's natural ability to create change. It directs you for how to recognize these patterns and how to adjust them. That's it. It's really, really simple, and it's actually fun. It includes a crazy ball with lots of colors and symbols. That's actually quite important to the work. But I would really encourage you to dive in and start being that 1% of humanity who actually knows how to change these responses. Right, Bill?
That's exactly it. If you're someone who has tried a lot of things and you still haven't, you still got that not a vacation feeling, right? If you are still struggling, this is an amazing way to begin to take control of your body and your life. You feel different, think different, and act different.
Yeah, it's 100% true. All right, everybody, we have come to the end of our time here at the UK Health Radio Network for today. We'll see you again next week. And I have a feeling we'll be talking about this a little bit more because it's time. It's time for the world to know how to do this and for people to really be able to create change for themselves and have control of their own lives. So until next week, in UK Health Radio Land, be safe and be well. Thanks, Bill McKenna.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.